I want to take a second to thank Fossilized Nara for suggesting this video, and for being so supportive with my content. Your support is really appreciated. Thank you so much. It still feels like just yesterday that I was eagerly waiting for the release of the Steven Universe movie. So much has changed, and it's kind of insane that it's already been more than 3 years since it released. This series meant and still means so much to me. I want to give back to it in any way I can. I was so excited for new Steven Universe content, and I can't say I was disappointed at all when the movie came out. I loved the songs, and there was this interesting new character, and they caused the fandom to go wild. Now, I can't say I'm any different because I literally have some pretty old art that I drew of her soon after. That's right, I'm talking about Spinel. If you're watching this video, it's likely that you've already seen the movie, but just in case there are some who haven't, I'll quickly summarize Spinel's deal. Steven sends out a telegram of sorts to the entire universe, saying that he has established peace across the galaxy and that he has, not really, taken Pink Diamond's place on the throne. For a split second, we are even able to see Spinel listening to the telegram. We learn that Spinel is extremely upset, but aren't able to discern why as the movie progresses. Then we learn that Pink Diamond left her alone in the garden for about 6,000 years. Yeah, that's a lot of years. But we're only just getting started. I wanted to take a closer look at the hints and mannerisms we get from Spinel throughout the movie. Even as far as the first few moments, we're actually more or less told her character's backstory. Pink Diamond's pearl, wow, she took you with her. Isn't that just swell? Now, I want you to consider these words for a moment. Take them into your mind and sort of let them slosh around for a bit. She emphasizes the you part of the statement, already hinting at the fact that Pink Diamond had taken Pearl, while still leaving Spinel behind. The part that hurts the most about this is that Pink Diamond didn't even tell anyone about Spinel. Only a select few knew, and the others didn't even consider the possibility of Spinel being left behind. She has so much rage and betrayal built up that she has to take it out on someone. So why not the people Pink cared about? Now, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit here. There was something that was really nagging at me about Spinel whenever I watched the movie. When she was poofed with the rejuvenator, why was her personality such in opposition to the one we were introduced to? It didn't make sense, and it frustrated me a little bit because it just seemed like such a flip. How could her personality be so different in less than a second when she hadn't had any room to grow? Then it hit me. Spinel stood alone with her own thoughts all those years. She didn't have Pink Diamond there to distract her, and she had nothing else to do but stew and wonder why it was taking so long. She was changing that whole time, even if the movie didn't allow us to see that. This whole time, her thoughts and ideals have been gnawing at her mind. Pink Diamond wasn't there anymore, so she was no longer needed or forced to be her playmate. She was allowed to be her own person, and it all went to her head. Almost like it was all some kind of act or something. A part that she stopped playing once she realized she'd been abandoned. I want to take a step back here for a second. I'm sure if you've seen the movie at least more than once, you've probably noticed the hints of her past sprinkled throughout the film. Aside from the straight up songs. The first one I want to mention is how Steven tells her to stay right here, and he'll be right back. Then her eyes widen for a moment, as if placed into a past experience and being forced to relive it. She then yells no, almost instinctively, before clinging to him for the rest of the film. Now, the clinging factor is rather interesting to me as she's supposed to be reset at this point. So why is she so clingy? Why is she so afraid of being left alone? Part of me wants to say that the Rejuvenator didn't totally wipe her, leaving her with emotions and feelings of the past that she doesn't know how to comprehend. The most interesting part about this to me is that the movie wants to make it clear that her arc is similar to Pearl's, at least in a sense. The only difference between the two is Pearl had time to live her own life and become her own person. Spinel never got that. She was still just a discarded toy. Pink Diamond disappeared from her life and left her alone. What did Steven do? He disappeared and joined his friends, leaving her behind as literally everyone else goes up with him. She's the only one who's not up there. She's been left behind again. This is what jogs part of her memory as she gets visibly upset before running off. When Steven finds her again, she mentions that she can feel all these feelings flooding back to her all at once. It's confusing and it's heartbreaking to watch. Steven mentions the garden, and she immediately breaks into a smile, remembering the good parts of the garden and the good times with Pink Diamond, before the memories of Pink leaving her returned as well. This next part is the part that more or less changed my perspective on her character as a whole. There's a real resonance with people who have gone through this, even if it's on a much lower scale than Spinel's. When she sings, it's heartbreaking. Drift Away is one of my favorite songs ever, and if you haven't heard it or haven't watched the movie, I highly suggest it. You keep on turning pages for people who don't care about you. And still, it takes you ages to see that no one's there. Everyone's gone on without you. This brings forth the idea that this person cares a lot about another person, only to be abandoned by them. You allow yourself to be blinded into the idea that they did not abandon you, and that it was possibly your fault that everything had happened. It must have been you, right? Why else? They couldn't abandon you. They couldn't, right? And if they did abandon you, it has to be your fault, right? They would only abandon you if it was your fault because you weren't good enough. Why else would they do that to you? You trusted that person, and they betrayed you. In the next song, Steven is reassuring Spinel that she will love again, that she will find someone who treats her better and doesn't abandon her. As he does, he kind of corrals her or leads her out of the garden, much, much unlike what Pink Diamond did. When Steven lets go of her hand, she has the most scared expression I have ever seen. But Steven continues to assure her and tell her to come with him. She does so, and that's when things go a little haywire. After she turns off the injector, she begins to freak out when Steven plans to move on right away. What about me? Now that she's not useful anymore, she's scared that he's going to leave her like Pink did. She's still not over that trauma, and it goes to her head as she sees that Steven still has the Rejuvenator. He's just using her until she has nothing to give anymore. She's done so much bad. How could she ever make up for that? No matter how much good she does, Steven will always look at her like a villain. It's too late. She mentions during her fight with Steven that when he changes for the better. But when she changes for the worse. She changed because she was abandoned. And she wasn't able to handle that in a healthy way, so she went to take her anger out on others, because she didn't know what else to do with it. She changed because she wasn't a naive and unsuspecting gem anymore. She knew that she was abandoned, and she just couldn't accept that. And she shouldn't have had to. Which is why it upsets me that she gets sent off with the diamonds in the end. It's an unhealthy fix for both sides. Instead of moving on from losing Pink Diamond, They all just found a substitute that they can put in her place. They aren't moving on from her. They're keeping her place warm and are even replacing her in the end. Spinel deserved to have a chance to be her own gem, but she simply got pushed aside because she made Steven uncomfortable. And I'm not sure that's something I agree with. Either way, Spinel is a phenomenal character that was expertly crafted, especially for the small amount of time she got in the movie. Spinel did change. She changed Steven's perspective on life, and she changed our view of Pink Diamond. Spinel changed the whole perception of the show Steven Universe, and for that, I commend her. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to get shouted out in a video at all, why don't you give me suggestions? If you suggest a video and I end up doing that video, it is highly likely that I will shout you out in that video. So, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Please have a nice night, and we will see you all next time.